I'm Kelly Worthman in the CBSN Denver studio. The eviction moratorium that was created during the pandemic expires July 31st, and that means the threat of eviction is looming for many Coloradans. This is an issue that is concerning for Colorado Access, a nonprofit that partners with communities to create access to affordable care. So joining me now is Gretchen McGinnis. She's the Senior Vice President of Healthcare Systems and Accountable Care. So Gretchen, thank you for being with us. To start, who's going to be the most affected by the eviction moratorium, and why is it so worrying to you?
Well, really anyone who experiences income insecurity is going to be affected by the moratorium, and that is a wide variety of folks. But we know that folks who qualify for Health First Colorado, the state's Medicaid program, are particularly vulnerable. And within that population, there are subpopulations that have even greater risk. So we have identified the Native American population, which makes up about 1% of the population in Denver, but represents almost 5% of the population that experiences homelessness in a given year. And so we know that population is going to be particularly impacted. And that's a group that has really unique social, cultural, and belief needs that aren't met through traditional services.
Sure. So what is Colorado Access doing to help these populations?
We have partnered with a lot of different organizations, Denver Indian and Family Services, the Colorado Coalition for the Homeless, and other service providers that work directly with this population and have staff that are really culturally competent to deliver services. So we received some FEMA funding through the state and have partnered with these groups to support the hiring of full-time staff that are Indigenous that connect directly to these folks through programs like the Talking Circles that provides community support and direct engagement, as well as individual culturally competent advocacy for these folks facing both evictions and then other socio-emotional needs.
Sure, relatability and likeness is likely very important. So obviously homelessness and the threat of eviction can have a huge impact on a person's mental health. This is a concern, widespread. So what is Colorado Access doing to help those struggling with mental health?
Well, one of the things when the COVID pandemic started is we saw an enormous increase in the need for behavioral health services, mental health services, and the desire for those services to be delivered via a telemedicine or virtual platform. So we were able to quickly provide those services to folks who had that kind of stable ability to navigate those the online services. But as you can imagine, if you're experiencing homelessness, having the ability to engage in a telemedicine behavioral health visit is really hard to contemplate. And so these organizations that we've worked with have direct abilities to connect with the homeless population, bring them into a safe place like their provider office, and allow them to get those telehealth services in a way that was both safe and secure and yet culturally competent.
Well, and this is obviously very important work, and I imagine that it's time-consuming. Is there anything that the public can do to help with this process, or what perhaps, Gretchen, do you want people to know that we haven't talked about already?
I think we really just want folks, across the community to understand how important paying attention to mental health is, how incredibly difficult this last 18 months have been for everybody, and to really think about connecting with a trusted provider to support your mental health needs. So whether that's a direct mental health provider, whether that's working through your primary care provider to get, behavioral health and mental health support through those connections, it's really to think about accessing care in a way that connects you to the kind of provider and the kind of treatment that supports your needs.
Absolutely. Well, Gretchen, thank you so much for taking the time to talk with us today. And we will put more information about Colorado Access on our website, cbsdenver.com.